Man, screw Eternal Engine. I've never seen a level that wants you to not play the game more than it. There are so many game design fundamentals that this stage fails to understand that I'm baffled it even got approved. And what's even more disappointing is that this is the point in the story where the heroes finally begin their counterattack in space. And what do the devs do with this sick setup? Drop you like a dookie in a toilet bowl. The starting point admittedly is inoffensive. You shoot a couple baddies and even get to see some cameras around, which is kinda cool since it makes you feel like you're being watched as you infiltrate the Ark. These few rooms have some beetles flying around, dropping bombs that explode upon impact with small hitboxes. They don't do much because they're meant to set you up for the big boy bombs in the next room, which don't explode upon impact but take a couple seconds to detonate instead. This delay in detonation is appreciated, but the fact that these bombs can get dropped outside of your camera view makes them frustrating. You're likely to scamper over to one of the two springs, and if you happen to choose the left one, what do you get? Nothing! So you have to go back a little bit, hoping one of the bombs isn't ready to detonate, and hop on the other spring instead, where you can finally kill the beetle dropping his deuces all over your face. This bomb section could have easily been solved had the camera been zoomed out a bit more. When you grab onto this pulley, the camera suddenly cuts to inside the next room, focusing on the enemy. I get they want to make the threat clear, but it didn't have to be done like this. It just adds confusion, especially because you're still able to move during this cut, which can result in moments of frustration like this. What a weird shot. This room introduces the tubes which explode upon getting shot. Now they alone aren't that much of an issue, just watch your shots, right? But then this level decides to introduce another thing you're not supposed to shoot on top of these tubes. Dynamite! There is so much to talk about with this, but I first need to clear my head of this nonsense with some Raid Shadow Legends, that's right, we made it, baby! In this free-to-play, turn-based RPG game, there are hundreds of champions to collect. It's just a stupid amount. I honestly didn't know it had so much going into this. Oh my lord. There's way more depth than it's been given credit for, with a ton of different strategies for you to employ as you mix and match the billions of combinations of champions and abilities to overcome some pretty sick bosses, or you can ruin other people's days by obliterating them in PvP. Like this! And then there's the fact that it's Raid's 4th anniversary, where there's dedicated offers, free gifts, promo codes, events, and a brand new fusion event where you can nab some powerful anniversary-themed legendary champions. Right now you can use the promo code 4years Raid to get 4 legendary skill tomes, 4 energy refills, 400 energy, and 400,000 silver. You'll also be able to take a trip down memory lane with a recap video of your stats in Raid. And for Amazon Prime members who just got Gembo, make sure to keep an eye out for the next drop with some powerful Savage gear available from March 2nd until March 30th. If you've been thinking of getting into Raid, then there's no better time than the present. Use my link or scan the QR code right here and get a free starter pack with this cool in-game loot. Now back to these much worse packs of Dynamite. What makes them especially maddening is that the devs actually teach you how they work quite well. When you enter this room, you see a ring box and shoot it like normal, but there's dynamite right behind it, which you'll undoubtedly shoot too. This will cause the dynamite to explode open the hatch leading out into space, but since this room is rather long, you likely shot it from a pretty safe distance, allowing you to find out how it works without worry of dying to it. There's even an Omochow here to give you a straightforward explanation in case you need it. And even if you die here, you just touched a checkpoint, so you don't lose out on much at all. It's incredible to me how much thought was put into teaching this mechanic, but the main problem with it is the concept itself of not shooting things. The next room, for example, has you shooting at enemies like normal, but you have to be careful to not shoot the explosive tubes or the dynamite hatches as to not get injured or insta-killed. Considering this is Tails' final level, you should have gotten a handle on his gunplay up until this point and know how to only shoot specific targets, so this isn't exactly a technically wrong way to challenge the player's skill here, but it's just not fun. Most people who have fun with the mech stages are not going to tout the movement as part of the fun, it's the gunplay. The feeling of chaining together tons of shots on a lot of enemies and racking up high scores as you obliterate waves of foes. This is why Weapons Bed and Cosmic Wall are appreciated above most of the other mech levels. They feed into the strengths of this gameplay style and make you feel powerful, with Cosmic Wall also solving the movement issue. you. Eternal Engine here misses the point on one of the few things that is enjoyable about these stages. Instead of letting you go berserk and rack up combos, it tells you to stop shooting, where in cases like these, calmly moving to the next room is more optimal. Same case here where there's a door that's locked and you have to flip a switch. Shooting will just make this objective harder, so unless you want the Chow box, you're better off not shooting and moving on. And this bridge here, look at the end of it. Dynamite. It's pretty obvious that if you shoot it, then that part of the bridge will get blown up. Heck, the whole bridge could get blown up. You don't know, so why chance it? And if you think I'm being unreasonable with that line of logic, then consider this. If you instead jump left of the bridge and use Mystic Melody here, you'll enter this top room where we've got an artificial chaos with count that, one dynamite pack beneath them. That's no big deal, right? Yeah, okay. How in the world are you supposed to know that shooting this small thing would result in every hatch in the room getting blown off? Up until this point, the dynamites you shot only affected a small range around them, but this one just decided to obliterate everything without any tell for what would happen. You're better off just not shooting anything and walking by passively as always, where you can hover down into this secret room where the Chow is if you're doing the third mission. In this case, you completed your objective and move on with your life, but what if you got to this room while doing the first mission? You're instead given a 1-up and the level doesn't end, obviously, so you turn around to leave the room and... lasers! You can't leave the room safely. They didn't think about that. You must run into the lasers on purpose, get hurt, and use your invincibility frames to make a blind jump down to the platforms beneath you. Just phenomenal. This is the section you reach after having gone through the main route's bottom room, which introduces dynamite on floor hatches. Yet another section that you're better off not shooting and walking on by. Here you can't destroy the iron bar, so you must patiently wait to get carried over to the rocket where you can finally move on. This elevator section, essentially, is just about flipping a switch and climbing up. It's not very interesting. And neither is this next part, it's more so the bane of everyone's existence. The first proper introduction to artificial chaos in this level, not that Mystic Melody path we talked about earlier. Shooting it, by the way, doesn't work. Your shots just ping off of him like no big deal. Man, it's almost like shooting in this level is completely discouraged at every corner. But salt aside, you have to wait for him to reveal himself, do his stupidly hard to dodge attack, and then you can retaliate with a shot. Remember the tubes that explode upon being shot? It would have been cool if shooting this one in particular caused it to explode and destroy this artificial chaos. It's not the most satisfying idea in the world, but it would at least be a step towards making this level's environment a lot more fun to interact with. This platforming section is alright. You're given ample time to see where you're going to be on the platform when the lasers intersect with it, so you can freely move to the next one with ease. Doing this platforming in this mech still doesn't feel all too good, but if the controls were better, I imagine this would be a bit more enjoyable. But now I would like to welcome you to Pick and Choose Your Battles Boardwalk Edition. Here we've got a long stretch of platforms complete with dynamite attached, and of course enemies trying to blast you off. You're again given the push and pull of do you shoot and risk destroying the environment, or refrain from doing so and try to avoid enemies that way. Except here, the developers finally found their footing in executing this concept well. See, before, the best option was always to not shoot and move on. There was seriously little reason to do anything other but be passive. But here, not shooting, while giving you safe ground to walk on, will result in enemies firing upon you, whereas choosing to shoot will make the ground less safe to walk on, but you now no longer have to deal with enemies directly in your path. It makes this section more interactive and dynamic, and by extension, more fun. On the side, there's a switch you can flip where you have to make this awfully unforgiving jump back to a previously locked room for a Chow box. Man, they could have given you more to work with here. Almost as though this section didn't exist, the next room mimics that of the earlier sections, where you simply walk without shooting. And look, I know some people are going to say that you can shoot in these rooms, which is true. You can absolutely fire away at whatever enemies these rooms provide, but the point is that there's little incentive for you to do so other than score, since they aren't in danger dangerous enough positions. It's why these sections are less engaging than what we previously experienced, where the enemies are more in your face. Remember this bridge near the start, by the way? The one where if you blew up this dynamite, it caused only a small part of the bridge to blow up? Well, take a look at this piece of dynamite, where blowing it up results in the entire bridge blowing up in complete unpredictable fashion. Was their whole point to just surprise you? I doubt it, since this top route here is necessary to progress in the level, considering it has a power-up. So I guess the devs just didn't think it was a big enough deal to warrant making a difference between these two scenarios, which is kind of a bummer. If you happen to fall down, which is very likely on this part, you can still make your way back up to the power-up via floating platforms. Same goes for these goodies back here, which serve as a neat reward for exploration. Lots of dynamite packs around here. Be very careful. Thanks for the advice, Omo. Chow, what was that? Oh, you thought the artificial chaos would wait for you to see it before attacking? Well, screw you! Try seeing the future next time! Shooting the dynamite packs in the back will result in the floor hatch opening up, which is kind of expected, but at the same time, just place them on the hatch itself so there's a 100% consistency with these things. This part is kinda cool in that the jump becomes more difficult if you shot willy-nilly in here, but despite it technically being a good use of the dynamite hatch mechanic, again, the mechanic itself just isn't fun considering it's a no-shoot zone complete with insta-deaths. The penultimate section, on the other hand, is actually pretty interesting, where you're hurtling towards the tower, shooting anything and everything with no dynamite packs in sight. What a delight! And when you finally reach the tower, you realize that you don't have to go through a strenuous climb up, but an incredibly cool section where you fall down all of its floors, avoiding tons of different laser patterns, bots, and artificial chaos that, believe it or not, are fun to interact with here because their arms now serve as obstacles for you to avoid as you fall. You have the option of either not hovering and falling fast, which may result in you getting hit if you're not careful, or slowing yourself with your hover to make dodging a bit easier. The variety and increase of steady challenges you're thrown here, along with being able to see everything far in advance, makes this section a pleasant surprise to travel through. And to top it all off, the platform you land on locks you in, and you get to face off against the Ark's generator, where you finally get to unload all of that pent-up aggression you have against this level upon the reason you came here in the first place, finally setting you and me free from this eternal engine, or as I like to call it, eternal suffering. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
I gotta do better next time.